What would happen if the ground beneath your feet suddenly refused to move? No sunrise, no sunset, no gentle rhythm of day and night, just a planet, frozen in motion, while everything on its surface keeps going. In a single moment, the world you know would become unrecognizable. The Earth spins at more than 1,600 kilometers per hour at the equator, faster than the speed of a commercial airplane, and yet we never feel it. That silent rotation shapes our weather, our oceans, and the rhythm of life itself. It controls the direction of storms. It keeps the oceans where they are. It gives us the simple miracle of sunrise and sunset. Now imagine that rotation stopping, not gradually, but suddenly. It's a scenario scientists sometimes explore, not because it could really happen overnight, but because it reveals how fragile the balance of our planet truly is. And the results are not just dramatic. They are catastrophic. Tonight, we'll explore 3 places and phenomena that reveal what a motionless Earth might truly look like. The first effect would arrive almost instantly, not from the ground, but from the air. At the equator, the surface of the Earth moves eastward at about 1,670 kilometers per hour. But the atmosphere would keep that speed even if the ground suddenly stopped. Because of inertia, the air, the clouds, the storms, everything in the atmosphere would continue racing eastward. The result would be a global shockwave of wind, a wall of air tearing across the planet at speeds faster than any storm in recorded history. Near the equator, those winds could exceed 1,000 kilometers per hour. Stronger than the most violent hurricanes ever measured, skyscrapers would twist and collapse, bridges would snap like twigs, forests would flatten in seconds, cars would lift into the air, ships would be thrown onto land, entire neighborhoods would be erased by the force of moving air alone. Even solid ground would not feel safe. Loose soil, sand, and dust would be stripped from the surface, forming massive global dust storms. For hours or even days, the atmosphere would rage across the planet. A single unstoppable storm circling the Earth, and humans would have almost nowhere to hide. Underground bunkers might offer temporary shelter. Deep caves could provide protection from the winds. But above the surface, survival would be almost impossible. Eventually, the atmosphere would slow down. Friction with the ground would bleed away its energy. The winds would weaken. But by then, the damage would already be done. Because the air is only part of the planet's motion. The oceans are moving too. Right now, Earth's rotation shapes the very outline of our oceans. As the planet spins, centrifugal force pushes water outward, creating a slight bulge around the equator. It's not something you can see from the beach, but on a planetary scale, it's enormous. The equatorial oceans are thousands of meters higher than they would be on a non-spinning Earth. If the planet suddenly stopped rotating, that bulge would disappear, and the oceans would begin to move. Water from the equatorial regions would slowly flow toward the poles, pulled only by gravity. But slowly, on a planetary scale, still means unstoppable floods. Massive walls of water would surge across continents. Coastal cities near the equator would disappear beneath rising seas. Places like northern South America, Central Africa, and Southeast Asia could see their coastlines erased. Low-lying regions would vanish first. Meanwhile, something strange would happen near the equator. As water drained away, vast new landmasses would begin to appear. Former seafloors could rise above the surface. Salt flats, deserts, and barren plains would stretch across what used to be ocean. At the same time, the polar regions would experience the opposite effect. Water would pile up there, forming deep, cold super oceans. Entire polar continents could end up submerged. The map of the Earth would change completely. Familiar coastlines would vanish. New continents would appear where oceans once were. But the reshaped oceans would not be the end of the story. Because without rotation, the planet's climate would break down entirely. Today, the Earth rotates once every 24 hours. That spin gives us the steady rhythm of day and night. It keeps temperatures relatively balanced across the globe. Without rotation, that balance disappears. The sun would shine constantly on one side of the planet and never rise on the other. On the sunlit side, temperatures would climb higher and higher. Day after day, without relief, oceans would begin to evaporate, lakes would dry out, soil would crack open under endless heat. In extreme models, surface temperatures could exceed 100 degrees Celsius, hot enough to boil water. Meanwhile, on the dark side of the planet, the opposite would happen. Without sunlight, temperatures would plunge, minus 50 degrees, minus 80, even colder. Atmospheric gases could begin to freeze and settle on the surface as snow. Oceans would turn to ice. Entire continents would become frozen wastelands. Between these two extremes, there might be a narrow twilight zone, a thin ring around the planet where the sun sits permanently on the horizon. There, temperatures might be survivable, not comfortable, but possible. If any humans remained, they would likely migrate toward this twilight belt, a thin, moving line between fire and ice. Civilization would no longer be built around countries or continents. It would be built around the position of the sun. Of course, in reality, the Earth cannot simply stop spinning overnight. The amount of energy required would be almost unimaginable. Even the largest asteroid impacts would not be enough to halt the planet's rotation completely. But this thought experiment reveals something important. Our world feels stable and permanent. Mountains seem immovable. Oceans seem eternal. The rising and setting of the sun feels guaranteed. Yet everything around us depends on invisible forces. Gravity, motion, and the silent spin of a planet in space. Remove just one of those forces, and the Earth we know disappears, not in millions of years, but in a single day. Right now, the ground beneath you is moving faster than a jet airplane, and you feel nothing. The winds, the oceans, the seasons, all of it depends on a motion we never notice. But what other forces shape our world without us ever realizing it? And what would happen if they suddenly changed? Some answers lie in places few humans have ever seen. Others may still be waiting in the dark. Hidden Earth TV explores the parts of our planet that remain untouched, unreachable, and unseen. If you want to discover more places where humanity does not belong, subscribe to Hidden Earth TV.